All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. It is 2:02 p.m. My name is Ty Menzer, Chair of the Board. To my right, Vice Chair Commissioner Wayne Fournier, Commissioner Carolina Mejia, to my left, Commissioner Emily Klaus, and Commissioner Rachel Grant is on Zoom. We have County Manager Leonard Hernandez and Assistant County Manager Doc Cummings and Jennifer Walker, Clerk of the Board Amy Davis. So calling the meeting to order, we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Fournier.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We would also like to start today with a land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Indigenous Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and stewarded the lands and waterways of this county with great care and who continue as sovereign nations today, specifically the Squaxin, Nisqually, and Chehalis people. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connect across all barriers of heritage and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone towards healing. We commit to working together to honor our past and build our future with truth.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We have a proposed agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve the proposed agenda for today. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up is presentations. Today we have a proclamation for National Recovery Month, and I'm going to pass it to Ellen Madison to walk us through it.
Great. Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Board. Yes, today you have the proclamation for National Recovery Month, and we have some really amazing speakers here to share that with us. First, I'd like to invite up to the podium, Katie Strozzi, the Opioid and Overdose Response Program Manager at Public Health.
Thank you. It's really exciting to be up here in front of you guys today following Overdose Awareness Day last month. I think it's really important to touch on how last month we took time to focus on grieving as our community, and then now we get to transition into focusing on recovery and the impact that recovery has and the joy of getting to see folks move from active addiction into their recovery journey. I want to thank the board for being so supportive of opioid and overdose response, both through Board of Health as well as the county commissioners. We're really lucky for our community to have such a robust support system through the county and our partnering jurisdictions. When we talk about opioid and overdose response, it really does take a full community when we look at our efforts. I want to touch on that recovery is really a spectrum today. I know that when we talk about recovery, we kind of get boxed into talking about only abstinence-based recovery and 12-step programs when we recognize recovery. But I also want to touch on that for many folks, recovery includes harm reduction services, recovery includes medications for opioid use disorder, and recovery is really personal for each person. And so it's really important that we recognize when folks identify with being in recovery and note that that recovery journey is going to be individual for each person who experiences it. Recovery has a huge impact on our community. For those of us who have seen folks enter recovery, maybe through friends or loved ones or just general community folks, maybe program participants, there really are no words to explain what it looks like to see someone have that journey and to cease their drug use and have those achievements of self-identified goals. We see folks who are reunified with family members, with children. We see folks obtain jobs and housing. And it's really wonderful to be able to see the impact that they have on the community and that reintegration. When we talk about looking at addiction, we also see that the opposite of addiction is usually community. And so being able to support folks not only while they're in active use, but really wrapping around during recovery to make sure that once folks enter recovery, that they stay in recovery as long as possible. When we talk about recovery, I would be amiss to also not touch on that folks often feel a tremendous amount of survivor's grief when they enter recovery. When you enter recovery, you often have to leave a lot of your loved ones and friends and family members behind who may not be ready to enter that recovery journey themselves yet. It can be really challenging to move into recovery and still face those that you love who are facing active addiction and to experience more loss through overdose deaths as you're trying to continue your recovery journey forward. I want to thank you again today for supporting us as a community and for recognizing recovery and the role that it plays in opioid and overdose response. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie. Next, I'd like to invite up Corey, who is with us from Northwest Resources.
Hello. My name is Corey. I work at Northwest Resources here in the community. I'm a person with lived experience with addiction and whatnot. I struggled with addiction for about 15 years before actively getting into recovery. I've had the opportunity to work for Northwest Resources, a place that helped me get back on my feet and give back to my community. Currently, what we do is my program specifically, we go into the jails, get people furloughs to get into treatment, people that don't have the ability to get services directly after. All I want to say is, thank you for your guys' time and your guys' support.
Thank you so much, Corey. Next, we have Hannah Kilmick, the Outreach Coordinator for the Chehalis Tribes Hope and Healing Clinic.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Hannah Klimek, and I'm the Outreach Coordinator for the Chehalis Tribes Hope and Healing Clinic. At our clinic, we carry a guiding phrase in Lushootseed, Shakwalayson, which translates to he, she, or they turn around. It is meant to signify the moment when someone chooses to turn their life around in recovery, and it reflects the heart of our work, to walk alongside people as they make that choice. It is an honor to be here during National Recovery Month, a time to lift the voices of people in recovery, to honor their families and support systems, and to recognize the many providers here in our county working every day to make recovery possible. At the Chehalis Tribes Hope and Healing Clinic, our mission is to provide compassionate, accessible treatment for opioid use disorder and other substance use challenges. We do this by offering medication for opioid use disorder alongside supportive, person-centered services that truly meet people where they are. This past June, we launched our mobile unit in the downtown corridor. We are now located at 319 7th Avenue Southeast, right next to our new neighbors, Franklin Street Harm Reduction and the Thurston County Syringe Services Program. This location has been transformative because it places us directly in the heart of where people are already seeking support, connection, and care. The impact we are seeing is profound. By being co-located with syringe services and offering harm reduction services, we're seeing more immediate connections to care. When someone is ready for treatment, they don't face the usual barriers of transportation, scheduling, or long delays. They can walk across the parking lot, connect with our team, and often begin care the very same day. This kind of low barrier, on-demand access is helping more people say yes to starting their path to recovery. But what's equally powerful is the way that this model has unified providers across our community. The collaboration among recovery service providers, from syringe services and harm reduction to peer programs and treatment clinics, has grown stronger than ever. We are no longer working in silos. Instead, there is a true sense of care coordination and shared purpose. We're witnessing warm handoffs that are seamless, referrals that are timely, and providers working side by side to ensure that no one falls through the cracks. This unity has not only strengthened the impact of each program individually, but has also created a more welcoming, coordinated system of care that people can trust. The results are clear. Lives are being saved, hope is being restored, and our community is responding together. During National Recovery Month, we are reminded that recovery is not just an individual journey, it's a community achievement. Every time one person steps into treatment, finds housing, reunites with family, or builds a future in recovery, it reflects the collective effort of providers here in Thurston County. And so I'll return to the Lachute seat phrase that guides us. He, she, they turn around. It embodies the courage of our members who choose recovery and the shared commitment of this community to support them as they do so. On behalf of the Hope and Healing Clinic, I want to thank the Board of County Commissioners for proclaiming September as National Recovery Month and for supporting the work of so many organizations across this county. Together, we are building a stronger, healthier, and more unified system of care. One that proves recovery is not only possible, but happening every single day in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And finally, we have Carolina Hershey from the Thurston County Resource Hub.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by thanking the Board of County Commissioners and Thurston County leadership for proclaiming September as National Recovery Month in Thurston County. I would also like to thank you all for recognizing some of the most instrumental organizations in our community that work year-round to support our community in recovery as well. It is an honor to work alongside every one of you and to support our community in hope and wellness. My name is Carolina Hershey, and I work as the Operations Coordinator for the Thurston County Resource Hub. We're a central location for our community members to connect with social services quickly and efficiently. We operate on the understanding that the keys to recovery are connection, self-efficacy, and community. The work we do is vital for the community as we support people in moving from surviving into thriving. On a weekly basis, I watch as our partners, including those in the room today, treat every person with dignity and care. I watch visitors are shown compassion, listened to, and recognized for all the good that exists in them and not what they're experiencing at this moment in time. Compassion and community are not optional ingredients to recovery. They are the base and foundation of it. Recovery is a choice to be cherished and celebrated. Recovery is one of the boldest and bravest choices you can make. It is a radical act of self-love and selflessness. It is a gift that continues to pay in dividends as one person's story inspires another and another. Recovery reconnects people to all the good and potential that existed in them all along. Recovery rebuilds and restores relationships to foster a stronger and healthier community. These are not ideas or concepts, but facts that I have witnessed in the lives of others and in my own life as a person in recovery myself. I thank you all in the county for choosing to celebrate recovery today and every day, because it is indeed a celebratory cause. In a time of uncertainty, fear, and isolation, we need to see that people recover and that recovery is possible. I choose to recover out loud and serve my community so that people can see that it's never too late. Thurston County is dedicated to supporting you in your journey, wherever it starts and in whatever way it looks for you. I want to close with a final message to anyone who's listening today who is uncertain that recovery could be possible for them. You are worthy of every gift that recovery has to offer. You are enough as you are right now. You are capable of achieving your wildest dreams. And if you don't believe in yourself, you can borrow my faith in you for as long as you need. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would also like to acknowledge that we have the Olympic Health and Recovery Services here today, as well as the Public Health Director for Thurston County. Board, Chair, I'll hand it back to you to read the proclamation and then photos and recess for brief.
Do you want to read it? I believe Commissioner Grant will be reading this.
Yep. Hey, everybody. I am excited to proclaim Thurston County as a person who is also active in recovery as National Recovery Month. Whereas behavioral health is essential to overall health and well-being, acknowledging that prevention of mental health and substance use conditions works, treatment is effective, and people recover. And whereas millions of Americans and their families are affected by substance use and mental health disorders, yet many do not seek help due to stigma, shame, or lack of access to care. And whereas National Recovery Month is observed every September to educate Americans that recovery is possible, to celebrate those in recovery, and to support those still on their journeys. And Whereas, as the 2025 theme for Recovery Month, every person, every family, every community reminds us that recovery is for everyone, and we all have a role to play in supporting healthier, more resilient communities. And whereas every career, support, and community, and that many individuals achieve lasting recovery with the help of peers, professionals, families, and community organizations. And whereas we recognize and commend the dedication of the counselors, peer support specialists, medical professionals, researchers, volunteers, and advocates who work tirelessly to expand access to care and promote recovery. And whereas by raising awareness, promoting evidence-based practices, and encouraging opening dialogue, we can eliminate stigma, improve lives, and create a culture of hope and healing. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of County Commissioners hereby proclaims September as National Recovery Month in Thurston County and urges all residents to support recovery efforts, spread awareness, and reaffirm our commitment to a healthy and compassionate society. Adopted on this 16th day of September 2025.
Okay, 2:19, we'll do a photo and we'll be in recess till 2:30. For your school. Yeah, he's starting sophomore year, mechanical engineering.
You can send them out of state, you only have to triple the amount of money you spend. Well, congratulations. Study. Yeah. Yes.
Please stay up front of the agenda item you're speaking to, so we can track that. Address the board, not only to staff, silence your cell phone. Board will not directly respond to public comments. County manager may follow up with second items on an as-needed basis. Speakers have 3 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot continue their speaking time to another. Be respectful. Person can be restricted for a cause. No comments will be offensive, inflammatory, and inflammatory nature. First, any comments motion for profit business and remarks about pending land use permits or someone that's or appeal. Materials provided to the county may be considered public records subject to release on request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256. Cooperation with that is important.
Yes, I signed up over there, sorry.
Put up at 3:30.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to do it now so I can get to another meeting in Olympia, so. Is that okay to do now? I thought it was at 2:30.
Can do it in this meeting, but in the general matters section, because it's not related to today's business agenda, we get into that really shortly.
Well, I'd like to be appropriate because, I used to work for a former board in the last century. And I like to do things well.
Okay, so next up is update. Consent items not being consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Consent items 1 through 12, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public comment period. First one is public health and social services, amendment number 9 to the Washington State Department of Health Consolidated Contract.
Hello, Dr. Jen Freiheit, Public Health and Social Services Director. And this is a request for the board to approve amendment number 9 to the Washington State Department of Health's consolidated contract, providing an increase of $4,102,328,000 for a revised maximum consideration of $10,198,827 for the duration of January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2027. This new amendment adds statements of work for our Foundational Public Health Services, Office of Immunization, Perinatal Hep B, and Office of Resiliency and Health Security, or Public Health Emergency Planning. And it amends statements of works for our ELC, Expanded Laboratory Capacity, Injury and Violence Prevention, Overdose Data to Action, and Maternal and Child Health Block Grant. And I'm here to answer any questions for you.
Questions for Dr. Freiheit? No, is there a motion?
I move to approve amendment number 9 to the Washington State Department of Health Consolidated Contract CLH 32070, providing an increase of $4,102,328 for a revised maximum consideration of $10,198,827 for the duration of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services or designee to execute the amendment and future amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
Motion is second to approve amendment number 9 to the consolidated contract. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 2 is also a public health item, amendment number 1 to contract with Low Income Housing Institute for Maple Court.
Yes, this is a move to approve amendment number 1 to contract with Lehigh, the Low Income Housing Institute for operations of the Maple Court Enhanced Shelter to extend the end date to October 31, 2025, to increase the contract amount by $800,000 in the Encampment Resolution Program funding. On August 19th, 2025, the Board of County Commissioners approved a new contract for Lehigh for $2.9 million to fund Maple Court operations for the July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2027 time period. PHSS is currently engaged in negotiations with Lehigh regarding the scope of work for the new contract, but negotiations are expected to continue through September, with final contract execution occurring in October. I'm here to answer any questions.
Is it fair to say that the negotiations that we're engaged in are in an effort to tighten up certain things that haven't worked as well and try to get Maple Court working better?
I would say it's an enhancement to operations and our involvement in oversight of that contract.
So this is kind of a bridge to give us that latitude to make those adjustments.
Correct.
Any other questions? Okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve amendment number 1 to contract 2325.chg.row.lihi with Low Income Housing Institute for operations of the Maple Court Enhanced Shelter to extend the end date to October 31st, 2025, and to increase the contract amount by $800,000 in Encampment Resolution Program funding, and to authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services or designee to execute the amendment and future amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
Motion and second to approve amendment number 1 to this contract with Lehigh. Any discussion on the motion?
I actually do. Sorry, I should have asked this question before the motion. Is there another amendment to the contract coming up in the near future, or is this the amendment that Commissioner Mintzer was referring to?
This would be hopefully the only amendment needed.
Thank you.
But just to clarify, this amendment will lead us to contract. So while we we will probably plan to brief the board on that prior to it coming to a business meeting.
Okay, and that'll probably happen like before the end of October, before the current one runs out. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
No, thanks, Tom.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is public comment related to general matters. Mr. Pettit.
Do you want to do him first? So
Sure.
designating us.
That's right, you're up. Then we'll get to Mr. Pettit and then I'll call for anyone. who needs a chance to sign up. Thank you.
Well, I'm here to heap praise on the county staff for the fine job they've done on updating the flood hazard management mitigation plan. But I want to also praise you for the last 2 actions. Just thank you for what your team is doing for the homeless situation we have and the great work. And this is not easy stuff. And how to work with all the different parties across the county that are involved. It's a lot of work. So thank you. Okay, so my name is Gordon White, and I'm here to express thanks and gratitude to the county and the work you've done, past boards and the current staff, your technical staff. Over the last 50 years, I have witnessed many, many flood disasters in Thurston County. Rivers, streams, high groundwater, run the gamut. And each time the county's gotten a little bit better. When the FEMA maps first arrived in '74, they weren't geo-rectified. We didn't know really where the floodplain was. We had to go out and measure trees from roads. It was kind of cool. Important to the former public works director, how fun that was back then. And now with your geodata program, the outreach you all do, it's really essential because in the flood of the mid-90s, the big floods where all rivers in the county flooded and caused a lot of damage across the county. After the flood was over and the National Flood Insurance Program paid people to repair and stuff and allowed us to move some people out of danger. We moved about 10 houses out of the lower Nisqually. People canceled their flood insurance. What happened? Because it was called the 100-year flood. That's the technical measurement that sometimes we in the technical world might use. And so that, well, I'm not going to be around for the next one. And so outreach key. That's in my comments that are more detailed for you in the comment in the survey section that I provided. Just accent public outreach. The other things you've been doing is using your good technical staff to improve the buffer and setbacks from rivers and streams. Really, really important. And they're kind of three first, right? Because you get both the protection for people. It also works for salmon. It works for water quality. And it works for supporting facilities and things like that, the bridges. And things so that we get a much better bang for the buck when we're looking at things you're doing on the regulatory side, for instance, the critical awareness, the shoreline management program that you've put forward to the Department of Ecology, all going to improve and continue to improve the resilience and risk, lower risk for floods. It's just getting better. And I just can't thank you enough for the actions that this board is taking. And of course, your staff. I'm kind of looking around. And I've sent them notes. Yeah, okay. And just for reference, I used to work for the county. I was sort of the county's first floodplain manager, which is, kind of odd for me, but it was just great then because we had good cooperation. And then I later went to a Department of Ecology as state floodplain manager, so it kind of got me ready for that. And Thurston County always excelled. And one of the important things that your regulatory rule does and other things you're doing is lower insurance rates for people. And there's a lot of people in the rural area that can't afford insurance. And so thank you for doing what you've done. That's my take. Yeah. Thanks.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live out on Rich Road. Today, I am emphasizing there's a couple different topics. And, over the years, some of you have gotten to know me before. And some of you know sometimes I've been actively involved in dealing with questions such as no higher taxes. And I know the county is in need of money. But a lot of the reason why there's a problem that the county has is because the county has chosen to make the permitting process to the most extreme difficult it can. I have a couple of clients right now that would have developed another 70 lots, another 35, $40 million worth of annual taxable revenue that the county could be gaining from, but you can't go past the planning. It's like the gauntlet. Okay. It just doesn't happen. I have a number of projects right now and quite honestly, I've sent you recent emails regarding how county staff currently is even creating procedures which are intentional to violate the county code for application as it's written. Take a look at those. It's a big concern to me because people come to me to get help because they can't get through that gauntlet. And I'm beginning to believe it's a dislike for the concept that anybody should be able to develop their property. And that comes up with another particular topic, which I have sent you information. It's a advisory memorandum from the Attorney General's office about regulatory takings. And one of the things about regulatory takings is if you impair the people's ability to use their property beyond what would be reasonable, that's a taking. Is the county ready to write checks? I don't think so. Now, why I could go on for another hour of different topics. There's a couple more minor things I want to mention. The county manager did miss mentioning something if it ended up getting passed, which is I like to give you the rewards and kudos when in fact, it sounds like he's going to be addressing the train situation with the noise barrier issue. If we can overcome that, you're going to find great satisfaction with a lot of people. But if we don't make changes with the planning, major action has to happen from a private sector. And currently, I know one attorney in town intending to get a hold of the Department of Justice to address the issues that we have of trying to get through the gauntlet. Thank you.
Those are the signups I had. Anyone else not get a chance to stand up? Okay, that concludes public comment. We're up to community report from commissioners. Commissioner Klaus. please
Yeah.
start.
Thank you. Okay, so since this meeting, I attended my first NACO Justice and Public Safety Steering Committee meeting. I was appointed to that alongside Commissioner Mejia a little bit earlier this year, actually very recently. And so that was my first meeting with them, which I was really excited about. The Solid Waste Advisory Committee met. I also attended the Experience Olympia and Beyond annual meeting with a couple of my seatmates. The Emergency Food and Shelter Program Board through United Way met as well to finalize application review for phase 42 funds. I also met with a representative from the Thurston County Food Bank to talk about their ongoing programs and opportunities for employment for community members. The Local Progress Pride Caucus Leadership Committee also met and are making some headway on developing a mission and vision for that new caucus, which I'm excited about as well. The Partnership Council on Juvenile Justice, Behavioral Health and Reentry Joint Committee meeting took place. I was unable to attend that, but my executive aide attended in my place. I also attended the September Chamber Forum and the WFC Migrant Solidarity Kickoff meeting. And I also had a meeting with staff from Olympia Mutual Aid Partners to talk about their outreach programs. And that is all.
Thank you. Commissioner Poyer.
Yeah, sorry, taking notes on all the things that I did. Yeah, as usual, it's been pretty busy. Attended the Experience Olympia and Beyond kind of needs assessment meeting with their staff or their contracted staff as they look forward to figure out what they're going to do regarding their director vacancy. Attended a lot of meetings here with us. Did a little bridge walkthrough. The public works staff was very gracious and helpful. There was a complaint about some bridge decking on the trail in between Rainier and Tenino. And we went and took a look at that and built out a plan on how to repair the bridge. And I really appreciate Public Works and the road crew and the Parks Department folks meeting me out there and looking over that. They were very quick to respond to a concern that was raised by a local resident. Went on the Thurston Conservation District tour with Commissioner Menser. It was a great tour that was mostly, well, it was all in his district. And we went and looked at kind of a local small working farm. We looked at a bulkhead removal project that was done on a shoreline and had a lot of great conversations about wildfire planning and various other things that the Thurston Conservation District is working on. It was well worth the time. Had a meeting with Superior Court administrative staff and the judge. Went to the first responder potluck barbecue over the weekend. This is I think they were saying it was the 15th one since Councilmember John O'Callahan started that. And it's kind of they always do it the weekend after 9/11, and it's just a thank you for all the first responders in the region. And this is John's last year hosting it, and just I want to give him a public thank you for being the steward and the host of that all these years and keeping it going. Today I did an EMS council check-in where we met with Ben Miller-Todd, and then I did a NACO kind of seminar on Robert's rules. That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Mejia.
Thank you. I attended the National Association Justice and Public Safety Committee with Commissioner Klaus, attended Intercity Transit, attended the first report review for Raise the Age, attended a webinar of Inside Washington hosted by the National Association of Counties for county impacts from the White House and Congress, attended the Legislative Steering Committee interim project for transportation policy, attended the Thurston Regional Planning Council, and attended another webinar hosted by the National Association of Counties for legal considerations for federal funding. And attended the 2025 Heroes for Housing Homes First Breakfast. Also attended the ribbon cutting ceremony for the first cohort graduation of the Residential Construction Academy. I had a Nisqually boat tour. Thank you so much to the Nisqually tribe for taking it. Was me, Representative Matt Marshall, as well as Allison Osterberg from TRPC and someone from I forgot the name, as well as Senator Murray's staff, and they took us all along the river to kind of see the bridge, and so it was a really great tour, and very thankful for them. I attended the Federal Issues and Relations Committee for the Washington State Association of Counties. Also attended the First Responders Picnic. Thank you again to John, as well as to Castle Realty, who I heard is taking that picnic on. And attended the Action Forward 2026 Organizing Committee, and this is for the DEIB summit that is being planned for that. And attended the Robert's Rules training as well. I just want to also for our BHASO, gonna give a huge shout out. So on September 11th, 2025, the Healthcare Authority completed its annual team monitor audit for the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization. This audit evaluates the policies and procedures, oversight of contracted providers, organizational infrastructure, compliance, and care management. And for the first time in team monitor history, the healthcare awarded a perfect score. So a distinction no agency has ever achieved. So remarkably, the audit included no recommendations or follow-up questions regarding practice standards. And this accomplishment reflects the exceptional dedication of the ASL leadership and program staff, many of whom have been with the BHASO for over 8 years. So a big shout out to them. And also in the note of accolades, I also want to take some time to recognize Joe Pedavilla, the Executive Director of BHASO. He was one of 20 behavioral health leaders from 15 states chosen at the National Association of Counties Behavioral Health Peer Exchange in Richmond, Virginia, and the only one in Washington State, I might add. This two-day event highlighted Hamilton County's efforts to strengthen behavioral health services with a population comparable to Thurston County. So their population is approximately 320,000. And they were invited to offer feedback on Howard Code's initiatives and share approaches from jurisdictions. And one key takeaway for Julie was how Thurston County's behavioral health programs not only align with national efforts, but in many cases lead them. Our work and diversion through LEAD, the Resource Hub, the Scout Program, dedicated youth mobile crisis response, and several innovative initiatives funded through the treatment sales tax truly set us apart. So congratulations again, Joe, and thank you so much to all of your amazing staff that really make these silos go down and take away barriers for our community.
Did you call me? Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
It's breaking up.
Nope.
Okay, fair enough. Appreciate it. Okay, I'll clean up here. Committee meetings that relate to assignments I have. I had the Fair Board meeting. I reported on that in an earlier commissioner check-in. It was a really successful fair. It was a great meeting to be at because they were breaking down the stats and accomplishments from this year's fair, which was structured a little differently, but seemed to be very successful. Director of meeting for lot had mayor's forum down in Tenino on Friday, sentencing guideline commission meeting Friday morning, and board of health subcommittee meeting, policy subcommittee, and Alliance for Healthy South Sound executive committee meeting. Community events, I was honored to speak at an event, Way of the Masks, on the Capitol steps. This is a set of indigenous masks that are making this trek across the Pacific Northwest and down into California and then back up. And they'll there's kind of a totem plus a series of masks. I think the totem piece is going to end up staying at the lower Elwha in its final spot. But it's going on in the community, and the theme was sacred balance. So, and especially focused on forests. So they were asking me to speak about our efforts to try to work on protecting older forests and finding balance in capital state forests. So I was happy to do that. Had a meeting, a lot of environmental related stuff. Washington Conservation Action, I met with them about the new rules that are proposed about stream buffers. I participated in a video that you'll see shortly related to our work at Single Lake to protect the watershed there. Had a meeting with Commissioner Mejia with staff related to new commerce guidance on UGA swaps. I attended Sue Danvers' memorial at the Ellis Park. She was a longtime community activist for environmental causes. It was very, very well attended and very moving event. So I was pleased to attend that. Thurston Conservation District tour with Commissioner Poirier as president as well. It was very proud to see some things in my district, some things I had already seen and some things I hadn't seen. That was really cool to see what the Conservation District does. They got legislation passed that allows commissioners to potentially increase their allocation of funding. So that's something that we'll probably talk about in the future, but seeing how that board, when I joined the commission, Conservation District board budget was $900,000. Now it's like $7 million. And most of that is leverage money from other sources. And they're just going gangbusters with a really robust board, and the work they're doing is just impressive. I think we should support it any way we can. United Way met with representatives regarding our comp plan and housing numbers. Gave a presentation to the Hawks Prairie Rotary. This was kind of pinch hitting. My assistant is a member of that Rotary, and their speaker, which was the mayor of Tumblr, was not able to come. So at the 11th hour, I came in and gave a state of the county address about all of our hot topics and got some good questions from that group about the things we're doing in the courthouse and budget and this, that, and the other. So that went well. And I also attended the home's first breakfast with Commissioner Ian. So that's my report, and that is the end of the agenda.
Commissioner Menser, can you guys hear me now? Is that better, you guys? Yes, okay. I'll give my report. Is that okay? Okay. All right, great. So let's see. So I attended the National Association of Counties Health Steering Committee on their leadership call. Attended Thurston Regional Planning Council meeting, Olympia Sea Level Rise Response Collaborative, Innovative Justice meeting, the Transportation Policy Board meeting, and also the State Advisory Council on Homelessness. I attended many events. Let's see, the Yelm FFA Alumni Car Show. Let's see, the VFW American Legion Breakfast, the Experience Olympia and Beyond annual meeting, the Home's first fundraiser, the Thurston County Chamber Forum, and also the Residential Construction Academy ribbon cutting ceremony. And then spent some time out in the community this month. I've been meeting with folks who are in the pathway of the new Yelm bypass. I've had a couple different people reach out to me with concerns, and so I've been meeting with folks out in Yelm on that. Had a meeting with the auditor, the assessor, the sheriff, and then met with Yelm School District Superintendent Chris Woods for a discussion around, you know, potential opportunities in solar projects. And then met with two of the new planning commissioners, and also met with, like Commissioner Menzer, with Chris Wells at United Way to talk about the comp plan. And working right now on, you know, I think we'll be meeting early next week, but just want to mention it that Yelm will be holding a civic engagement workshop coming up soon. And so we're working on that as well. And that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's the end of the agenda, and unless there's an objection, I will. Hearing none, I will adjourn this meeting. Were you in that meeting? Robert's really thank you.
I like that. Like I was, doing things unanimous unless anybody, like, I thought that was a smooth little trick.
Yep. All right, we're adjourned. Thanks. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners public hearing. We have set for 3:30. We're going to pick up first on the agenda, which is the 2025 flood hazard mitigation plan update. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public comment on the proposed 2025 update to the Thurston County flood hazard mitigation plan. This is a public hearing. Those wishing to testify have to join by Zoom, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select BOCC meetings, hearings, and work session agendas, then meetings and agendas. Information to join the public hearing remotely is posted there. If you do not wish to testify but would like to listen and follow along, you don't have that stream, right? So that's not an option for people to watch it over the point. So that's the element will provide information on the topic. Names on the sign-up sheet. Anyone on Zoom who wishes to testify, you'll be given an opportunity to sign up and you'll have 4 minutes to testify. I'm going to be given to another person. When you are called on, please state your name, county, and which you reside. About information, summaries written comments submitted, and provide any additional information requested by the board.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Ashley Rye, Community Planning and Economic Development Director. I did want to highlight, I am joined today by Amelia Schwartz, fearless leader of the Flood Hazard Mitigation Plan update that we've been undergoing for the last year and change. So today's hearing is for the 2025 Flood Hazard Mitigation Plan update. This contains a review of Thurston County flood hazards as well as mitigation strategies to reduce and prepare for flooding impacts. The last update to this plan was done in 2017. The current updates include provisions to meet our community rating system requirements. That's what keeps our flood insurance rates low here in Thurston County. It'll also incorporate new data, update references and information, and promote flood hazard preparedness and community rating system awareness in the community. And Amelia even updated the handouts that are over there around flood hazard preparedness for the hearing today. It is important that to note that this update does not create additional regulations or changes to any of the maps regarding flood hazard areas here in the county. It is intended as informational to meet our minimum requirements that FEMA sets and to help guide flood mitigation and protection projects at the county level for things that fall within our jurisdiction. Just a quick timeline. On July 29th of this year, the board did provide direction to proceed with setting this public hearing. A legal notice was issued on August 21st in the Squally Valley News. We also sent out a webmail update on August 22nd, and a press release was issued on September 5th. All the draft documents were previously provided to the board and have been available online on our Community Planning Floods website. And that's also where we've had a comment portal open since January of this year. In regards to written comments, I'm happy to see that there are some folks here to provide comments to you today. We've also received about 26 written comments leading up to today's hearing. Major topics have included, but aren't limited to, Tacoma Power and flood storage in Holder Dam, protection of habitats and species, protection of our critical areas and their buffers, land use and impervious surface regulations, and clearing of trees or logging. Now, a lot of these comments aren't necessarily appropriate for inclusion in the flood hazard mitigation plan update, which really is intended to align with FEMA requirements. However, since we were also engaged in our comprehensive plan update, where we could, we tried to address the comments with new policies around strengthening habitat and tree canopy regulations, as well as programmatic support for those policies, as well as efforts to have policies related to reductions to impervious surface, which, as we all know, can amplify flood runoff. We also have upcoming this year and into next year updates to a critical areas ordinance, which also includes sort of the regulatory framework for how we regulate our frequently flooded areas. And so that'll be another place where we'll be able to incorporate comment that isn't necessarily appropriate for the flood hazard mitigation plan. Full record of written comments has been included in your information packet this afternoon. The plan does use, as I've mentioned, FEMA guidance and requirements as necessary to continue participation in the National Flood Insurance Program Community Rating System. And this does give us reduced rates, significantly reduced rates on our flood insurance for Thurston County residents. You don't have to adopt it today. However, I did want to highlight that we do have FEMA visiting to do sort of our regular CRS visit to make sure we're in compliance on October 15th. And so this plan would need to be updated, adopted prior to that to make sure that we don't have any issues with compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program. And that concludes my remarks.
Are there elements that are like, specific, like Chehalis versus Nisqually Valley? And, you have other recommendations, like the recommendations and things
that are more specific to sub areas.
Specific areas of the.
I'm gonna ask Amelia to join.
Yeah. We don't have area specific recommendations in the plan. We do go over area specific data and what's going on with them. What are the hazards in specific areas? What are the storms and previous flood surges? All that, but then the mitigation initiative, since we don't do policy or regulation with the flood hazard mitigation plan, we do have 20 mitigation initiatives that are whole county specific rather than targeted to specific areas.
So the watershed planning that we do would probably get more specific than this document, which is really high level and intended to address FEMA regulations.
So nothing like Commissioner Cornell and I are both said with Chehalis based flood authority. They're working on all this stuff. I know a lot of it are for this, but we have a chunk of that. I was just wondering if there's big projects and that kind of going on in the greater Chehalis Basin.
There's background information related to those projects and the hazards that they're working with, but not targeted regulatory standards.
Questions for the team? Okay, we'll get to public comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll go with folks who signed up. Mr. White already gave his comment during the public board meeting, so we'll go to Matt Jackson.
Thank you. Commissioners, I'm Matt Jackman, Chair of the Hopkins Drainage Ditch District Number 2 in Thurston County. Established by action of the Board of County Commissioners in January of 1902. I come here today in hopes that this current Board of County Commissioners would stop ignoring and snubbing the 3 red RCW 85 sanctioned drainage ditch districts that still exist in Thurston County. I've met personally with 3 of the 5 Board of County Commissioners, and I presented our history and problems, which are reinforced on page 2-30 of the document that you're considering to adopt, where it states, although groundwater flooding occurs sporadically throughout Thurston County, the geologic conditions present in the Salmon Creek Basin south of Tumwater create the worst case scenario for flooding. This area is served by Hopkins Ditch. However, I am not inclined to believe that the Board of Commissioners cares anything about the cooperation nor education, although the plan says that you do. On Monday, each of you should have received a 4-page document detailing the errors and omissions of this plan related to groundwater flooding, which is the focus of section 2.2.2 of this plan. The most demeaning part of the plan is that the only mention of any RCW 85 established drainage ditch districts is in table 611, where only 2 districts are listed. One of them was abolished by the Board of Commissioners, ordinance number 13351 in 2005. 2 of the districts weren't even mentioned. And that is the only mention of any drainage ditch districts that have been functioning here in that plan. It's appalling that the plan and this Board of County Commissioners totally ignores governmental special districts that have been established in and by this county to deal with flooding, some doing so faithfully for 123 years. I ask that you direct these particular special districts, that you direct the county to start taking an active role in embracing the vast historical knowledge that these particular special districts can bring to understanding of groundwater flooding in Thurston County. Please stop ignoring and snubbing us. We invite us to assist in this flood board. Include us in other county actions that occur in and around our district. There's a habitat conservation plan that Thurston County purchased from a developer that developed the preserve in Tumwater. And when the county purchased that parcel, they found out that there is a 1901 deed that makes a drainage ditch, the Hopkins drainage ditch, into own that parcel of land, that 9 strip from corner to corner of that parcel, into perpetuity for the purpose of being a drainage ditch. Also, you might not know that the drainage ditch district was reclassified and had the ditch officially renamed as Hopkins Ditch from Jones Road, which is where the ditch starts, to the east. And that was done by the DNR and USGS to officially rename that as Hopkins Ditch and to classify it as a canal, not a stream, because in 1878, the Board of County Commissioners was given a report that stated that that ditch was a wholly man-made ditch and emptied into Salmon Creek, was not Salmon Creek. Okay. These special districts are cash poor, and the commissioners of those districts can only receive $8,000 to $500 per year in reimbursement for their time. We have no staff. We are the staff. Please help us and the residents of Thurston County that we serve. Stop hindering and ignoring us. Thank you for your time.
Bonnie Blessing.
Hi, my name's Bonnie Blessing. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on your 350 some odd page flood plan. I do urge all to consider water our friend, not our enemy. Unlike in California, where we have to do intensive management of distribution of water, we still have a partially natural water system that supports drinking water, seasonal flooding, supports aquifer recharge areas, wildlife, ducks, and listed species. I strongly urge you to consider watershed protection measures, some of which were described in 2004 in the Salmon Creek Basin Plan some 20 odd years ago. Salmon Creek is is below Hopkins Drainage Ditch. And there were non-conveyance options proposed like some 20 years ago that that were related to protection essentially of the watershed and doing things that didn't necessarily involve maintaining a ditch that had deferred maintenance. And it was a lot of that deferred maintenance that allowed listed species to kind of move in and stay in there and be very supported, and allowed the deferred maintenance allowed of the ditch allowed waterfowl production. But there are places where we just can't pave the watersheds because the infiltration basins just often don't work. I've been told from a professional hydrologist that it was the preserve itself that added water to the drainage ditch that is contributing to them needing to increase the frequency and intensity of the activities in there. And let's see, I believe your floodplain restoration and reconnection mitigation strategy is very important and can be improved by improving and researching best practices described in Thurston County's HCP, namely how to prolong hydro period in the late spring in those seasonally flooded areas that support waterfowl, that support wildlife. But that's really, really hard to do when we refer to the various when the permitting structure of the stormwater permits say to rely on improvements to downstream conveyances to fix impervious surface upstream. It says that in the Thurston DD permits. It says that in the Tumwater and all that in the stormwater manuals themselves. And, you know, improvement of downstream conveyances means we're harming marshes downstream. And all this is in the headwaters of the Chehalis, where we need to hold water in upstream areas. Holding water in upstream areas where there's organic soils and diatom-based earth, like sequesters carbon in those things. When we dredge through those, when we lower water in those, we can lose the carbon in those soils to the atmosphere. So, and increasing the subsequent flooding. This happens in so many places. Like in the Sacramento Basin where things have subsided and where things have oxidized, where organic matter is oxidized. My cousin lost her farm down there because it's inundated. Other places are dried. But please like address like too much impervious surface as a potential cause of flooding. And please address if there's hazardous material sites nearby in some of these places that have high groundwater, please address those and see if we should be adding any additional water from impervious surfaces to those places. It seems like we shouldn't. And I believe the Hopkins Drainage Ditch is starting on a program to do an HCP for themselves. And to be more successful, I believe we need to control some of the runoff from upstream. Thank you very much.
No.
Members of the commission, I'm Ken Miller, Chair of the Scott Lake Drainage District. I apologize for letting that phone ring. Forgot about that. I'm here basically to support Matt Jackman on this floodplain issue. As the chair of the Scott Lake Drainage District, we're in a little different situation in that we have a lot of paying members and we don't have as big a lift as he does. So we're actually in a pretty decent situation. As I understand the complicated math, most of our dues are kind of paid back by lower county taxes. I don't understand the process all that well, but I just want to repeat part of what Matt has said, that we're elected just like each of you. We're entitled to compensation, but we all waive the compensation, treat it as volunteer work, and because we love and care for the lake and the flood district that we're in. So again, I don't understand all of the details, but I know that Matt understands all these details and has been quite active in that for a number of years. And I think basically what we're asking for is perhaps a little more respect and appreciation from the county and involvement in this flood control process. So I think what he's put forward in writing is a good recommendation. Get our drainage districts a little more involved in the county plans, and I think there's some win-win there. We're all doing what we think is best for the county, and I think we can do a better job if we work closer together. Thank you very much.
Dean Orton.
Hi, my name is Betsy Norton, and I am here representing the South Sound Bird Alliance. We just had a couple of items that we wanted to call your attention to regarding the flood hazard mitigation update. Wildlife and critical habitat must be protected and conserved at all times, including before, during, and after flooding. Moderate and seasonal flooding may be useful or tolerated by some species of wildlife, but damaging floods, which are increasingly expected under climate change, are not. We recommend first that the county provide explicit strategies to avoid adverse effects on wildlife populations and their habitat from damaging floods, fully integrated with your strategy to protect people and property. And these strategies may be habitat specific. So we recommend that you consult wildlife biologists and other people who know the topography and the wildlife. Secondly, we strongly recommend that county zoning, development codes, and stormwater and wastewater standards be updated to handle the combined and potentially concurrent sources of flooding. So when you have groundwater plus increased precipitation, those things combine to create a bigger flood hazard than one by itself. And we see in the plan too much isolation of those events. Including, you said no maps were being updated, but we would encourage you to update your maps. When I looked at the sub-basin plans, most of them were done back in the 1990s. The one for Salmon Creek was 2004, and a lot of changes have happened to hydrology and to the modeling apps since then that I think would help everyone understand more what to expect and what to do. Third, in coordination with ecology and DNR, the county should actively identify, educate, and support residents in securing hazardous materials currently stored on or below ground. Residents need to be educated that if hazardous materials are in a flood zone and not safely secured, they're likely to carry contaminants into aquatic habitat, streams, rivers, wetlands, and lakes. Finally, South Sound Bird Alliance believes a key aspect of wildlife protection from flood risk is missing from the FHMP, which is the human response to flooding. Standard responses to flooding tend to focus on removing excess water from the local environment, but these actions themselves can be hazardous to wildlife. For example, removing beaver dams and woody debris from streams gets rid of the habitat that juvenile fish and amphibians need to live. Therefore, we recommend that the county re-examine the standard practices for flood response and develop alternatives which minimize adverse impacts to wildlife and possibly have co-benefits to help solve the other side of the equation, which is drought. Thank you.
That was my sign-up sheet. I'll throw you next and get anybody else that hasn't had a chance to sign up, and then I'll go to folks.
My name is, excuse me. My name is Howard Glastetter. I've been a Nisqually Delta resident and lived in that area for 55 years. Pardon me. I've been involved in the last 3 flood hazard mitigation plans. I can't cover this 3-page document in 3 minutes, so I'm glad that some of you folks have already read it. So and I hope you do if you haven't. This document was originally about, that I've handed out, the written document was originally about Nisqually Valley floods. But I modified it when Thurston County said we would, we would update the 1992 Nisqually sub-area plan. The county then put this update on hold. However, the whole document covers important issues that the Board of County Commissioners should be aware of. I'll only discuss flood issues. Most of the flooding is a result of how Tacoma Power Utility, TPU, runs Alder Dam. Their FERC license, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission license, says the dam is too small, too shallow for flood mitigation, but this isn't true. Thurston County in the flood hazard mitigation plan says that the Nisqually Valley flood of record was the February 8th, 1996 flood. Well, it was a serious flood. It's the flood of record for the lower valley. It's not the flood of the record for the entire Nisqually Valley. I'll just read this from my document. The most significant flood to hit the valley in recent years was the Upper Valley flood of record in November of 2006. I recall it was considered a 128-year flood. It closed the entrance to Mount Rainier for over a year. Nothing like that has happened without a war going on any other time in recent history. The reservoir was 53 feet below capacity when the storm hit because Tacoma Power was had used too much water in the summertime and it was a dry year. 18 inches of rain fell in 36 hours and the reservoir rose 37 feet to be 16 feet below capacity. So here was the most, this November 2006 flood event was the most serious flood to hit Nisqually Valley in more than a century. And it was completely mitigated at Alder Dam. So this can be mitigated. There are documents that FEMA or that are produced that Tacoma Power can use to monitor what's happening for 10 days or what has happened and what will happen in the next 10 days. So these tools should be used. So basically flood mitigation should be. Thank you.
Okay. Testimony is not submitted. Online. So in terms of the board next steps, actually, if we see.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second to close the public hearing, say aye.
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 And you have an option to, oh, sorry. You have an option to update today. You can also just take a few days to process all the comments that you heard and take it up at any of your next scheduled meetings. I just would highlight that October 15th deadline, but that still gives you a few weeks to consider comments and, ask questions of staff.
I move to place this on the September 30th meeting for adoption, giving the board the next 2 weeks to read over comments.
This meeting of September 30th. At the right date? Do we have one?
Yes. If the business being on 30th, check.
Okay. Yeah, well, is there a second? To the motion? Okay, so motion and the second, discussion on that. I'll need additional time. I have Mr. Jackman's comment I read this morning, but the rest of them I have not. So, I'll need time to review the written materials, and 2 weeks would be enough potentially, but if things come up and the board needs to, then
It can be moved.
it could be moved, but I certainly would.
I just want to get it on the calendar.
September 30th, at least calendars it within the time frame, and the board could take it up at that time or not, but.
Yep, and we are happy to respond to questions if you just want to work with the county manager on any outstanding ones you have after reading the comments.
Open to like a briefing or something to that effect.
As long as the schedule.
Briefing. Any other discussion on that? Today, any other discussion, I'll call for the vote on things. Aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye, sorry.
Okay, 5 ayes. So that's what we're doing. Today, we're going to comment, have a follow-up briefing, discussion, and then potential action on September 30th.
Thank you.
Okay. Other public hearing. Thank you for kind of the preview for overview of that meeting. Okay, so next we are going to begin a public hearing for proposed ordinance to update Thurston County Code Chapter 1506 Storm and Surface Water Utility Rates. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public comment on the ordinance updating Thurston County Code Chapter 1506 relating to the imposition of storm and surface water utility rates and charges. This is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify are joined by Zoom, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select the OCC meetings, hearings, and work session agendas. Then, meetings and agendas. The information to join the public hearing remotely is posted there. If you do not wish to testify but would like to listen, this will be recorded and posted to our YouTube channel in the near future. Tim Wilson, Water Resources Manager, will provide information on this topic. Names of the sign-up sheet will be read aloud. Anyone on Zoom who wishes to testify, you'll get that opportunity. You have 4 minutes to testify. Time may not be given to another speaker. When you are called on, please state your name and address for the record. This public hearing is now open. Tim will present background information, written comments submitted, and any additional information requested by the board.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Tim Wilson, Water Resources Manager. As the chair mentioned, today's public hearing is to hear comments on a proposed ordinance amending Chapter 1506 of Thurston County Code related to stormwater utility rates. The proposed ordinance, of which the board may consider at the conclusion of the public hearing, will remove the stormwater rates from code and will authorize the Board of County Commissioners to set and/or adjust rates per resolution. This approach will align the rate-setting process with our water and sewer utilities and will provide a streamlined and efficient mechanism for periodic rate adjustments without the need for a code amendment. The proposed ordinance is considered an administrative change only and will not by itself affect or adjust current stormwater utility rates. Later this year, in alignment with the 2026-2027 budget adoption process, a proposed resolution with rate sheet will be submitted to the board for consideration. The proposed ordinance was reviewed by the prosecuting attorney's office and posted to the Thurston County Stormwater Utility webpage. Notice of this public hearing was published in the county's newspaper of record on August 21st, 25. And as of 3 p.m. today, we have received no written comments from the public related to the proposed ordinance. And with that background, I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Before we get going, hearing none. Nobody signed up. Who were in the boardroom to provide?
And I'm Matt Jackman, Chairman of the Hopkins Drainage Ditch District Number 2 in Thurston County. We object to the funds for the stormwater tax being kept by the county and for those 3 drainage ditch districts whose principal task is flood mitigation and stormwater control. We again ask the board to release those funds for the landowners of our districts to be put into our funds so that we can utilize those funds as the RCW intends for stormwater planning, mitigation, and maintenance. So I just want to make that clear and ask the board to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, comment on county contract 6. Okay, and there's no one from line. Okay, then we can close public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
For a second.
Second.
Motion and second to close public hearing and discussion. All in favor, say
Aye.
That closes the public hearing, and there is a proposed action to approve this ordinance. Is the board willing to move forward at this juncture? Is there a motion to do that?
Move to approve the ordinance updating Thurston County Code Chapter 15.06 relating to the imposition of storm and surface water utility rates and charges.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the proposed ordinance, updating Thurston County Code Chapter 1506. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, and that's the end of the public hearing. We're adjourned.